Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. Brachelle, we've had quite the day, haven't we?
Yes, we've had lots of fun, lots of insight, lots of perspective. Every single day here, Kevin, we learn so much. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming.
Well, I want you to introduce our guest for the hour. She's a remarkable young lady, and she is right now to a little bit to the north of us in where all the sane people are, which is in Canada.
Yes, we have our guest, Laurie Parente. You can go to her website, which is laurieparente.com. She's an intuitive guide, medium, and energetic healer. And her website will tell you she works with angelic and shamanic healings and activations to connect you to your soul light and team in spirit. So thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
We're more than that. We're happy for you to be here, because what you do with the work that you do and to help people live their lives a little bit better and understand why some of the things that they do is why they do what they do, and that you can help them get in contact with their soul and in a wholly different way. Am I misstating that in any way?
No, I mean, my number one program is called Tune Into Your Soul Essence. It's about tuning into who you truly are at the essence of your being. And I think that when we do that, life becomes quite magical.
Why is it that so many of us have a problem even identifying that there actually is a soul attached to us, and there is a soul level, and it has a purpose, and it has a desire for our living and all of that? Why do some of us have a difficult time with that?
Well, I think it's about how we're taught, right? Right from the beginning. We're taught that that's maybe just kind of woo-woo and weird, and we judge it. And I like to say, we're divine beings having a divine experience in a human body, that we're embodying this lifetime.
Yes, we are. Brachelle?
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. It makes me think it being the specialty of the version that you are. Have you found that it was hard, because you say that how you mentioned that some people just have an extra gift and it's a little bit different. And for me growing up, there was my mom who was very accepting and understanding when I was seeing things and talking to people and telling her things that there was no way I should know. And then there was people who handled it like my dad, and he was like, he'd get angry and he'd get very confused and very frustrated. Did you find that through the start of your journey, you've always kind of recognized this as a kid, that you were in tune with it? And was it something that people usually were welcoming, or a little more on the edge with you about it?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you dealt with the fear from your dad, because that's what it is, the fear projected on you,
Yeah.
right? So, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and it wasn't a very open time to be talking about angels and spirits and guides and knowing things that I shouldn't know, and telling adults. It didn't go over all that well.
Yeah.
So for myself, I kind of learned really early on that it was something I should just keep to myself. Until honestly, it would come out sometimes, but it wasn't really until my 40s where I really thought I need to get authentic with who I am, because the pain of being inauthentic got so loud that I could no longer deny it.
That's powerful.
So when we're talking about, because there are people that when they were young, they had this gift and they could see different things and they could feel different things. And then through the course of time, when they would mention it, you'd be, "Oh, that's fine, dear. Don't ever say anything like that again." And you just be quiet and just, and so they buried it, and they buried it for a very long time. But the soul has a way of making itself known at one point sooner or later. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. I always say it'll come in whispers. And then if we're not listening, we'll get maybe a little nudge. And then if we're not listening, we'll get a little push. And if we're really not listening, we'll get a frying pan over the head moment that tells us it's time. It's time to start listening. And, I believe we all have this gift. Some people will say they were more receptive when they were younger. And we all have this sixth sense, this intuitive gift, these psychic senses. They've just been taught out of us. And they're taught out of us when we go to school. And we're told that the whole world is seen through our thoughts and our minds are in control. And it overrides those psychic senses a little bit until we come back to the knowing that, wait a second, there's another driver in me, and it's actually my heart. And my heart is connected to this consciousness that is bigger than who I am in this physical life.
And one of the reasons why I'm so glad that Purcell is here is that she is going through that period where it's like, can I, shouldn't I, could I, maybe, is it right? Is it, oh no, dear, you can't talk about, but that's how I feel. And it's no. And so can you give somebody like her, she's 26 and she is developing her gifts and it's coming right along, but can you give her some advice on how to continue to grow that so that she can be of service to others in a positive way?
Or even just help it be a little smoother.
Well, it can get kind of messy. So I think the biggest thing is when you're first tuning into this and tuning into your heart and tuning into your team and knowing how your energy works in this world is it's like a little flower bud. You need to protect it a little bit, and you need to decide, where is it okay for me to share this? Who can I share this with where I will get positive feedback and I will get support, and where will I share it and it'll just get kind of pushed down again. So it's like protecting that little bud and knowing that you're growing it and you're watering it and you're fertilizing it and you're sharing it where it will be positively reacted to. Does that help?
Yeah, 100%. Because now that I have so much recognition in myself, I have a lot of recognition in relationships from every aspect you could think of: family, friends, family, or a friend that is both. I realize now how unaware of themselves a lot of other people are. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But I've noticed a little bit of the negative feedback or negative reactions, or in any way, really, shape, or form. It's the fear and the hesitation on moving forward and seeing me do that and questioning if they can, and that's totally okay. Not to say I know what I'm doing, but I'm going for it. And it's weird to kind of build a boundary with yourself to where you understand how to kind of handle that person, and also communicating with somebody about how you're not getting that positive reaction, just to help them understand, can be a little bit hard, because I don't even know how to explain it sometimes.
Right.
But it's the opposite. When I get a positive reaction, I always tell somebody, thank you so much for being here for me, for supporting me, for understanding, for even just listening. I spend so much time rambling to Kevin because I get such positive reaction without judgment or negativity or personal fear.
Right. So I will tell you that it's important to have a couple of sayings in your back pocket when
Okay.
you're starting to get that reflected kind of judgment. It's their fear, it's theirs.
Yeah.
It can be mirroring something in you, so you can take a look at it and say, "Is this mine?" But you can just say, I just shared, and it works for me, and that's enough, right? And then
Right.
the other one is, and I love this because it's a Mr. Rogers, and he would say, when someone is really giving everything back to you, you can say, "You know what? You may be right. I'm going to think about that. And
That's
those
so
two
good.
have those two have served me really well because they're both
Okay.
conversation stoppers, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like I've said my piece. If it's not yours, that's okay. We'll go our own ways and see you later. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. And really, from the bottom of my heart, I do wish you well. I don't hold any resentment. And if you need somebody to lean on, I'll still be here. But I've set my boundary, and it's when other people learn that they should be doing the same thing, but they don't want to do that. And I know, and I can see it in other people because I've been that person, and I recognized who she was and what I wanted her to be different and change like. And I'm not in a pushing or pulling season anymore, and I will just let things be, but still with a good heart and good intention, rather than just being like, okay, whatever, you can go do
Right.
you and stay away from me, because that's how I used to handle it. So
Right. And it's just about making sure that you're taking care of yourself, that your cup is full, so that because as empaths and as people who are natural helpers, we tend to let our gas tank get a little bit low, and then people will come to us and it ends up draining us. So it's having those practices in your life so that when you're interacting with others, you always feel full and you can give from that fullness.
yeah, and I just have to say this. I'm so sorry, Kevin, but wouldn't you say that's for
Oh,
everybody, right? No matter the age where you live or why your life is the way it is, that goes for everybody in a sense of who you are and what you're feeling and where you're at in your life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You are, your number one priority. You've got to take care of your health mentally, physically, emotionally, if you want to be able to be of service, as Kevin has said so eloquently.
Yes.
and by the way, Rochelle, I want you to communicate with Laurie as much as you want. Have her
Okay.
answer all of the questions because she knows what she's talking about. And I want to address real quickly the folks who say, oh, no, this is all just balderdash and it's woo-woo stuff and all that. Okay, here you go. You ready? We are all energetic beings. They've proven it. Einstein proved it. Tesla proved it. Modern science has proved it. We are all energetic beings having a physical experience. That's one. Number two, I've done over 2,500 interviews in my life, and I've talked to some incredible psychic mediums. I can tell you, including one, John Edward, who read my sister, and he didn't know she was my sister. That's a whole story. But I can tell you chapter and verse that what they do, the feelings that they get are true and genuine. And whether you're a musician, they have it, they use it. An author, they have it, they use it in some of their writings. A poet, a artist, intuition is an integral part of the creative process for everybody. And if you ask them, they will tell you. And Laurie, I've done this a lot. And they'll say, so what made you think of that? Well, I don't know. It just came to me. That's your intuition, ladies and gentlemen. So don't poo poo it, honor it, listen to it. Is that good advice?
I love it. I love it's reminding me of the story of Einstein when he would say he would spend all his time on a problem and he wasn't getting anywhere, and he would go for a swim in the ocean and the answers would just drop in.
Yep. That's the way it works. And if you are open to it and don't dismiss it, you will find, as an example, if you've got a problem that you're working with, there are lots of ways. There's a guy, maybe you've heard of him. His name is Paul McCartney. He wrote my favorite song that I like to talk about a lot, Let It Be, because his mother, Mary, came to him in the middle of the night. She'd been gone since he was 14, but he had a lot of stuff on his mind and was thinking about it when he was sleeping. And she came to him in his dream and said, Let It Be. And it became one of the best songs of all time because of her intuitive hit to him and because she loved him and cared for him, and she wanted. So that happens all the time, and we, if we don't recognize it, then we are shutting down, and our guides and the people that are there to support us can't get through. Is that true?
I'm going to say, and it may seem like a bold statement, but I have never met anyone that when we really sit down and talk has not had an intuitive feeling, a visitation in a dream, a knowing, something that saved their lives. That everyone has a story. I think the thing is that people think, well, that was just that one time, and it's not something I can do all the time. And everyone can do this. Everyone can tune into who they are. Everyone can tune into their team in spirit. It's about allowing your thoughts to get quiet enough that you can listen. And that's what Einstein was doing when he went for a swim. His thoughts got quiet so he could hear.
Very good.
Have you ever, and well, we need to take this break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about electricity and water, because sometimes when you're in the shower, or you get some of the most unique thoughts that you're going, I didn't think of that. Where did that come from? We need to take this quick break. We'll be right back in 45 seconds. And we're talking with Laurie Parente and Plente. I think that is the, anyway. And Rochelle is here, and we'll be right back. And Rochelle's going to ask you a wonderful question when we come right back.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle. She is right there. And Rochelle, I'm going to give you a rare and wonderful opportunity, because it's not all the time that we get to have somebody like Laurie come on the program. I'm going to give you the opportunity to pick her brain of anything that you have of value. And I want you to do. Oh, Laurie, before we do that, I got to tell you that when Rochelle first started with me, and started doing interviews and stuff, and she was curious about and the questioning and stuff, and she was not sure about it. And I said, just let it go and let your intuition be your guide. And now she asks some of the most remarkable questions. I can't tell you how many guests have said, that's a really good question right there. So, and it's because she has opened up her intuition to allow that to come through. Would that be true, Rochelle?
Yes. So I'm going to try to wrap this up very shortly, because everything I had to say kind of goes in line with my question. But right before the break, we were talking about, I was thinking about fear and change. You've heard so many people, like Kevin mentioned an example of how people respond to things. Oh, it happened the one time. Or I hear a lot, it just doesn't make sense. And then it's like, okay, but you just saw it happen and it's real. So just because you don't understand it, you're going to choose to steer away from it. And it's kind of how Paul McCartney was able to allow that to make a difference. We would have never known that song if he didn't just simply listen to what the bigger meaning and the message of was that. And since Kevin told me Let It Be, I used to not really know the background behind how it even got that name. And it became so prominent in my life. Let It Be was everywhere. It was constantly running through my mind. I was telling other people and they were telling me back. And I didn't realize how powerful it really was. And then it goes into when you switch from fear and you get in touch with this intuition, let's call it, in a sense of energy, like how Kevin was talking about. I think that was powerful, Kevin, because we are water. and we are frequency. And if you put a water bottle on a speaker, what is it going to do? It's going to vibrate differently depending on the vibration. And we do the same thing. It's literally the same thing. But when I first got in touch with this, there was so much curiosity that went through me, and I started testing it with different things. And I didn't realize the magnitude of it until I put it out there and then just let it be. I just gave that out. I didn't, we had a guest that talked about how you're not acting like you're already there or waiting for it to come or any of that. It's just, this is the intention I'm setting, and I'm going to allow the universe to bring it back to me. And the first time I did it, I did it with love. I didn't even intentionally do it that I knew of, but my energy and my frequency had shifted over. And there was one day me and Kevin would just, everything all day was talking about love. And I was like, oh yes, love, give me love, give me love. I was so overwhelmed by the amount of people reaching out for me out of the blue, out of nowhere. Years had passed. It just like all these crazy random things that didn't make sense or were unexplainable, or yes, it only happened this one time, but it did happen, and we have full control of it. And I think that's where people get lost, because they're like, oh, well, it's there, but I have to chase it, rather than realizing it's already there. And you have to start with just literally where you are at in the present moment. And then it all starts right then and there. Would you say that is absolutely wrong, or does it make sense?
Well, I mean, there was a lot in there, and I'm not
Yes,
exactly
yes, I'm so
totally
sorry.
clear on clear on your question. But I will say that what happens is we have these nudges, we have these intuitive feelings, we have things happen, and we understand in the moment that it's real, but then our brain will get involved, and our second thought will try to talk us out of what happened. So
Okay.
it's about realizing, oh, you're trying to talk me out of what happened, trying to make some kind of sense of it. And I'll go with that first thought and tell the second thought, no, I don't
Okay.
believe you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely, I always like to say it's like, I in Canada, we have something called skip the dishes. I think you guys do DoorDash when you order food.
Yep.
It's you put your order in and you send it out and you don't think about it. You don't spending your whole time wondering like what they're doing in the kitchen or who's with you just do it and you just expect that it's coming. And I think that's the way that intentions work. Is that your
That
question?
is, yeah, no, that covered everything I said, but super simplified.
Well, and Laurie, when you work with somebody and you help them get to a soul level, but what does that mean for most people?
It means looking at, a lot of times it means looking at our past and how it is affecting our present right now. And it means looking beyond our beliefs and our conditioning and our education and getting just to the core of who we truly are and what that means for us in this lifetime.
How do you help people understand who they really are? Because we, through our upbringing and through people who we respect have always told us who we are. We don't necessarily even have a sense of who we are, because that's not what I've been told. My mom said this, my dad said this, my coach said that. How do you break through that so that you can understand who you are and nobody else?
Right? It's about looking at who am I beyond the personality self. All of these things that I've been told who I am in this life, is that really who I am? How do I operate in this world? How do I use my energy? And how do I look at beyond the personality self, who am I? And that's always been a question of humanity. We go back to the philosophers of eons ago, like, who am I, right? And I said, well, you're a being of light having a human experience. So let's figure out who you are on a soul level. And then I really work with meditative journeys and shamanic journeys. And we go in and we take a look at who we are. Now, some people will call that their higher self, their oversoul, their I am presence. Who is that to us? and what does it mean to us in this lifetime?
So when somebody starts to get curious on these things and they decide they want to find out who they are, is there steps that you provide or that you suggest people to do that within themselves rather than looking outwards?
Yeah, well, there's always kind of three phases I've noticed.
Okay.
There's a releasing phase, and then there's a connecting phase, and an activating phase. So I always say find a method that works for you, whether it's through breath work or tapping, or I mean, some people ecstatic dance, like guided meditations. What works for you to really get in touch with your heart and to be listening to your heart? Because we know what our heads say about things. We've heard our heads say it a billion times, and usually it's beating up on us somehow. And being really able to get into that energetic space to what does my heart say about who I am and what's going on right now in my life.
Mm.
So we need to release some of the conditioning and the beliefs and everything, kind of
For sure.
pull away the layers.
Yeah.
You know what I would like everybody to do, because this is a really, really, really simple thing that you really can't explain without understanding that something is more at work here, and that is muscle testing. And I know you're familiar with muscle testing, and for those in our audience, and I love your experience of it. But what it is that, well, as an example, go to the grocery store and pick out two products and determine, and then do a muscle testing exercise, and you will get one of those products will be the product that is designed for you. I don't know how they do it, but so explain. Now, for me, I take these two fingers like this, and if I can pull them apart, it's a no. If I can't pull them apart, it's a yes. And it always works. And I can't even pretend that I'm cheating at it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, everything has an energetic signature, and we're either going to align with it or it won't be for us. One of the things that I often teach people is to find their yes and no in their body. Like when you close your eyes and you say, body, tell me what my yes feels like. And notice what your yes feels like. And body, tell me what my no feels like. Oftentimes when people, I would say 90% of the time, people, when it's a yes, they'll find they kind of go forward a little bit towards something and they'll go backwards. For me, my yes is I get a big kind of bubble of energy in my throat, and my no is I get it down in my pelvis area. And if you know your yes and no, then you can have a lot of fun playing with this. Because as you said, you can go into a grocery store and pick something up. Is this a yes or no for me? And you can go to a restaurant and be looking at two different meals. Is this a yes or is this a no for me? And really starting to align with what your body wants to go towards.
That's brilliant. Rochelle, have you ever tried that?
I have. It makes me think about how crazy people around me started to give me their expressions of when I told them that for now on, I'm not going to think, I'm just going to do, and I'm going to listen to my body. And they're like, what? Like, you need to be logical. And I'm like, all right, well, you're logical and look where it's gotten you. I think I'm going to try something different. But listening to your body is like,
Right.
I want to talk about this more when we come back from the break, but would you say for you, how does it look for you? Because for me, it's like I have all these little people in my head, all these little versions of me, but then there's that one, and that one is dominant, and it tells every single one of those yes or no, or why, or, that it doesn't need an explanation, but that dominant self is like my root and security in me, and everything around me is what gets to be curious and what gets to test it and what gets to learn. Is that some sort of a good analogy?
I love it. I love it. I just always say your body is your navigation system for being here. Like it will
Right.
never lie to you. And when you can tune into your body, however that works for you, because it's different for everyone, and listen to it and follow it, then you will always be led on the path that is the highest and best path for you at this time.
Perfect.
And when we come back, I want you two to continue that because I would love for Laurie to give us some tips on how you can get in touch with your body because so many of us have got no idea how to even go about doing that. We're talking with Laurie Parente, and we need to take a break. And we will be, I said that right, didn't I?
Pretty close.
Parente. It's pretty close, though.
I keep adding letters to your name, and I apologize for that. And we'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and Brichelle is here, and Laurie
Parente.
Brichelle, I think you're on mute. Your microphone is not working. And and she'll be back in just a moment or two, but I would love for you to give us some tips on getting in touch with your body. And by the way, I want to make sure that we get this out a couple of times. Tell us about what you do on Thursday mornings, where you do a meditation with people. And I would love for people to tune in with you so that you can help them and find out if it's a right fit to work with you and all that kind of good stuff. I think that's part of the motivation, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And so every Thursday morning, it's at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. I do a half-hour meditation, and anyone is invited to join. And we have tons of different themes and topics depending on the week. I actually, just get up in the morning and say, "What are we doing today?" to my guides, and it comes through depending on who's registered. And we do some great meditations just for getting in touch with who you are and getting in touch with life and everything that's going on in the world.
Brichelle, you're back.
Yes.
Oh,
and
good.
For everybody who heard that, I will join in one of these Saturdays coming soon, and I will share with you my experience. Thursdays, yes. You know where my brain is at. Every Thursday, and I'll have to share that with everybody. So if they happen to hear that show, they can hear my experience from that. And I have to ask you this because many people maybe don't get a warning or get a little confused as to when they finally say yes to this journey that you help them find and realize. And they're like, "Laurie, you don't understand. Like, things are falling apart. I thought everything was supposed to get better." What do you tell them?
Well, as I had said, I find that things go in about 3 phases. And in that releasing phase, it can get a little bit messy because we can find out that the beliefs that we've held really weren't ours. They were a belief that someone else gave us, or the conditioning or the cultural teachings really don't jive with us. So it's like all of that needs to fall away. And so I say, just breathe through it. It won't be forever. Just take your time with it. Be kind to yourself, and you will get to the other side. It usually doesn't last very long. And sometimes it's more about aligning with the flow of it than fighting against it. When we fight against it, it tends to be a little bit tougher to get through.
For sure.
Is it kind of like if you decide, maybe it's New Year's Eve, and your New Year's Eve resolution is you're going to go work out. And so you get really excited about it, and you go to the gym in a day and a half, and you go work out, and you work out harder than you probably should because you're real excited about it. And then you go home and you're really sore afterwards, and you can't work out is that kind of because you're exercising new muscles, you're doing new things mentally with yourself and the people around you, because then they look at you and say, Laurie, you're different than you were 3 days ago, and stuff like that. Is that kind of how it all plays out?
A little bit. Yeah, you are. It's like building a new musculature. It's more of a remembering than a building because it is something that we've always been capable of. And when people say, you're changing, or you know what, we're meant to change. We're not supposed to stay caterpillars. We're supposed to go into the mush and go through the transformation and come out a butterfly. That's something that we all long to do. So we have some kind of fear of change in our world. And the truth is that we're changing every day. And so when we can step into the knowing that change is good and we can embrace it, then other people start to see what we're doing and they think, oh, maybe that's possible for me as well.
Well, and it makes so much sense you saying that because we naturally kind of do that in the negative sense where we're always paying attention to that. Then why can't there be the positive there as well? And I have to ask you, does the fear of change have to do with rather than a misunderstanding, but I feel like there's always something that someone hits, how you say, like, you can make it harder for yourself by resisting it, or you can make it easier. But patience and reminding yourself it's temporary is probably one of the hardest things to learn. Why is it so, like, you can create patience, but when you go into this, it's like a whole different level of what that word means. Why does it have that kind of an impact?
I think honestly, because it's part of finding self-compassion and self-kindness and understanding that things will evolve in their own time. We live in a society that's pretty instant for anything that we want. And it's about taking our time and allowing ourselves to evolve on the timeline that is the smoothest for us instead of pushing against it. And many times people will say, like this is really hard. But when we get down to it, it's just this fear from something that comes from their past. And working with the shamanic journeys, we'll find something in their childhood that has given them this fear. And once we release that, then it's a real sense of relief to be like, it's okay. It's safe to do the work that I'm doing. And it's not even work to be who I'm becoming, however you want to say it. It's safe. It's okay. And this is the right path for me right now.
Yeah, it does get very peaceful when you finally just surrender. It's like you constantly are aware of your brain telling you to breathe, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Just let it be.
Oh, I've heard that before. Laurie, and I've got to ask you, because in my world, I have long since figured out that this is all real. And so consequently, I know that the energy is there. I know that my guides are on the other side. I have a constant conversation with them. They're feeding me stuff and I'm asking them and they're giving me and all this kind of stuff. And so there is a genuine excitement about where I'm at, where I'm going, what the show's doing, the people that I get to meet, the people I'm working with. There's genuine excitement and not the trepidation that I have had in the past. And when there is that trepidation, I know, or that there is that stress that's being provided by another human being or a circumstance, I know that that circumstance is not right for me as to participate in. And so then I work to let it go. Am I hiding from reality or am I creating my own reality?
Well, we are the master creators of our reality for sure. And we follow what lights you up. That's the joy of being human. Find what lights you up, find what aligns with you, and go with that.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot of younger people, how you mentioned at the beginning of the show, growing up for you was like a whole different timeline, and now kids are speaking up and they're trying to show everybody what they can do and make the best of it. But it does bring a lot of really fast change. And I think anytime in your life when you make that decision, especially now in the world, it seems to be such an open place, but it also can be so harsh. Is there's any something specific you would tell someone that when they said, I want to be in touch with this and I like being able to be an empath, but also I want to build some barriers because I am now absorbing everything. Especially when you're younger, we're already kind of naturally doing that. So it's like a double separation from a part of us. So is there some kind of advice you would have for someone going through that?
So, I have actually a lot of moms who come to me and say, my 4-year-old, my 5-year-old, they're talking about things that are so whack and so out there, but I
Yeah.
want to be able to support them in this. And I think the first thing to do is just to teach them about their energetic body and about how to put up those kind of boundaries so that you're not taking everybody else's stuff in. And I learned a really important technique from a shaman who just showed me, because as a medium, I would have a really difficult time, say, being in an airport or being on a plane or being anywhere where anyone's stressed, right? Because I'm just
Right.
feeling everybody else's stress. And she showed me to just take my arms wide. I know you won't see it on camera, and just bring it in and just say, I close down all energies except my own, and I come into alignment with just my energy. And as soon as I learned to do that, I was like, oh, I can go onto a plane and not be hooking into everyone who's having an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
finding those simple practices that work for you, and they'll work differently for everyone. Just having that intention, as you said, works. Intention is so powerful. I'm closing down my energy. And I actually now, if I'm going out with friends and I'm in a restaurant, I actually put a closed sign on my third eye. Closed, out of business, out of office.
Yeah, that's actually a good practice, especially because you're also creating that for not other people around you, but for yourself. If you're having a panic attack and you're experiencing those things, rather than
Right.
feeling someone else, you can use the same thing in the same way, right?
Right. I was traveling on a plane, and the poor gentleman next to me was just having a hard time. Like
That would be me.
he was just really having a hard time. So I embodied peace just by bringing in a memory of when I felt very, very peaceful. And I
Mhm.
embodied it, and I just offered it to him, and I just watched him just slowly calm down,
It's late.
right? So as we become more aware of our own energy and how we affect others, then you're right. Like, he had no idea that he was infecting everyone with his anxiety, right?
Right. Yeah.
No, and sometimes when you're anxious like that, you want everybody else to be anxious too. It's just
You want to share.
yeah, and there's fun with group of numbers. I had a good friend her name is Kim Miller, and she's a psychic medium. And I said, how do you protect yourself? And she says, I don't. And I said, well, she said, no, I have a guide. My guide name is Samuel. And Samuel is the gatekeeper.
Mhm.
And he is the one, and she looks at it like a phone booth. He is
Right.
standing in front of the phone booth, and people are lining up to make a call to talk to her. But if they don't get his approval, then, or her, I don't know, Samuel's approval, they can't talk to her. And that's in So that's in grocery stores, that's everywhere. So she's got an actual gatekeeper, and that keeps her sane because
Right.
she's one of those that's very empathetic, and she can hear what people are saying to themselves and different thoughts, and it makes her crazy, having conversations in her mind with other people in their mind when they're being so weird. And so that solved the problem. Is that a good analogy, a good advice?
Great advice, right? Trying to, find out what works for you and then ask for support from your team. I'm always, one of my favorite ways to work with my angels is just, go ahead of me. First of all, find me a great parking spot. And second of all, just light up wherever I'm going so that all of my interactions are full of light and love.
Very good advice.
And there is a way to do this to where you can change the perception to where if you say, find me a perfect parking spot, and then you can't find it, then you get parked way out, and it's like, oh, that's because they want to give me exercise. It isn't because I didn't do what I wanted. They wanted me to get exercise. So here, why don't you park over there and then you can walk over? That would be better.
I don't know. My family will call me, and I don't know if Seinfeld story is too long ago for you, Brichelle, but they'll call me. I always get the Costanza. The parking spot is always there for me.
See, I'm like a full blown Kramer in the sense of that show. And I know we need to take a break here in a minute, but I do have a question for when we come back, and I want to give us as much time as possible. So, Kevin, can you take us out? And
I can
then
take.
we can sadly have another 15 minutes.
Well, yes, and I wish it were more, but sadly, you're right. So we're going to take a quick break. Laurie, I'd love for you to listen to this. Tell me what you think. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk. And Laurie, what'd you think?
I thought that was beautiful. I would just add that be kind to yourself first. Because if you can find kindness and compassion for yourself, then you can find that for others and you can find it for life. But it starts with you.
You, in my humble opinion, you can't be kind to other people if you're not kind to yourself first. And
Right.
take care of yourself, but there's so many people that have been told that that's inappropriate, or that it's just so sad. But Brichelle, you had a thought, and we have only about 12 minutes left, so I hope that's enough time.
Yes, and I want to give her time at the end to share with our audience. But I have it going through my mind about where people. Okay, let me tell you this first. I learned a practice of controlling your aura. So you control your space. I started testing out. I'm putting up a hard guard, and it only comes about this far out, and I'm not letting anything through. I tested it just in basic conversations I had with the people around me in my daily life. And then I tested it, like, how do you say at the grocery store or even out in traffic, Kevin? But I also noticed that how you talked about, or Kevin mentioned that, oh, well, that happened for me. And when he first taught me that, I didn't really understand it like everything else he was first teaching me, but I started to realize it where other people, I would be in a situation that I wasn't involved in. I was the outer person, and I could see them having a negative reaction to something I didn't see negative, like for example, I was standing in the store with my mom. She was just stressed and frustrated and hungry, and everything started going wrong. And we're the next person in line for the register at the self checkout. And I thought to myself, us getting stalled here could have prevented us from pulling out of this parking lot and being T-boned and possibly losing our lives. And so when I started to see it from that perspective, it kind of changed the function of why I do things and what I spend my time doing. And it brought me back to the aura thing and what I'm letting in and what I'm giving out in certain situations and with certain things, because naturally we choose to just have a negative reaction and be impatient to it. But it's crazy when you have an experience. It's like, wow, if I would have not forgotten my phone at home, I could have been in this 5-car crash. And to kind of just practice seeing things more like that, would you say is helpful?
I mean, always life is happening for us and through us, not to us. And if we're listening, in regards to your aura, I mean, we get to decide how we show up in this world energetically, and we get to decide how we are interacting with other people. And I think if more people knew that, life would get a little bit easier. And it's just all about I always say, here's my energy, only love in, only love out. And I expect to have wonderful experiences. And when things get difficult, because they do, because life is messy and stuff happens, I choose to look at it from a bigger perspective. I choose to look at it as I actually had a teacher say to me one time, when things happen, look at it and say, how is this the best thing that could have ever happened to me? And if something's really, crappy going on, that's a tough one. But being able to look at it, am I going to allow what's happening to really shrink me and make me angry and make me bitter? Or am I going to grow through it and expand through it? Because it's so, it seems so, it's hard to hear sometimes, but when we look at our life, things happen because they happen, and they couldn't have happened any differently because they didn't. And now where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And how do I choose to live from this moment on?
Yeah.
I've got a great example of that. Years ago, I was driving. This is a traffic thing, Brichelle, and I was late. I was running late. Have you ever had the experience when you're running late, when you're early, everything goes smoothly, but when you're running late, every light that you hit is red, and it stays red and for a long time. And it happens, and I was late, and I was getting later, and I was starting to get angry because I was getting late. And after the 5th or 6th light in a row that turned red just before I got there, I began to get the idea that my guides were teaching me patience. You're going to get there. It's going to be fine. Just let it go and be patient. I ended up getting there on time, and I was laughing the rest of the way because they were giving me a lesson that I didn't want to get. I didn't want to hear it.
Right? Because what you focus on expands. And if you're focusing on being mad that you're late, that's just going to get bigger. And if you focus on, okay, look at the time. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. Angels, I'd like some green lights. Let's see if we can get there on time. And be curious and open, then you'll always get there on time, and it'll always work out.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great advice right there. So Rochelle, use that, would you?
I already have been. I think maybe you should give it a try when you leave your house again.
Well, I don't ever leave my house, so that's that's.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that point. But Laurie, what you said about what you think about expands is so much bigger than just this. Okay, well, I'm going to change my thoughts, and then like my whole life will change. It seriously is that simple, but it is also so complex. If somebody told you and came to you, just to wrap up the end of the show, that I'm starting to be in touch with this now, and I hear it, and I'm aware of it, and I'm trying to change it, what would just be one key thing that you would remind them to tell themselves every time they're in a position where they have to remind themselves this is not the intention I set for the day. And just trying to rewire that brain set and being patient and, like you said, loving and understanding with yourself.
Just know that thoughts are things. They have energy. And when your thoughts are running an old program or an old way of being, I like the image of just putting, I live on the prairies, and there are these huge stop signs. And I mean, like, they're 4 feet wide and 3 feet high, these huge stop signs for the truckers. And I just put one of those in my head. Like, this thought is a thing and it's not serving me. And I'm just going to put a big stop sign here. And what is another thought that would be more expansive for me in this moment? How could I replace this thought with a thought that's more in alignment with my intentions?
Yeah, I think that's sound advice. I don't know about you, Kevin, because sometimes it's just so simple as to just stop. Over the weekend, I did that. And Kevin told me yesterday, I see in you that you took that time to just stop. And sometimes you don't even realize it within yourself. It's things around you that remind you why you needed that in the first place. Right, Kevin? You agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, Laurie, I just had a thought, which may be an intuitive hit, that says, Laurie, I want you to write a book of quotes of things that you do to live your life and examples of how that works for you. And we're going to make it a national bestseller. What do you think of that?
Are you prepared to help me with it? You know, interestingly, in the last month, I think you're the 7th person who's told me that. So I'm getting it. I'm hearing it. You know, just a book of those one-liners to help you live your life more attuned to who you are. And yeah, I think there's a lot of them in me.
Yeah.
There are. I've noticed a bunch of them in our conversation today. And if I'm the 7th person, that means you're not paying close enough attention.
It's August, it's summertime, I'm going slow and I'm just listening. Okay, I see it, I hear it, it's coming up. I get it. It's summertime. I'm going to be out in the pool relaxing, and I'll get to that when, the weather gets a little cooler.
Yeah, and I can just imagine you're sitting there going, I know already, just stop it.
Yep.
No, keep it coming because it'll remind me to get an outline going for that.
Yep.
Well, and Laurie, I can only tell you that because of that, the impact that you can have on people who you'll never meet cannot be overstated. Because you are a brilliant person and you're very in touch with your gifts and who you are. And I'm not even going to ask you about my dad today. So, but
loud.
Thank you.
Huh?
He's very loud.
He is very loud. Is that where you get it from?
No, I'm louder than he is. You wait. I tell Brichelle, wait till I pass away. I'm gonna haunt her just for fun.
I'm gonna have to take my brain outside of myself. But to wrap up the show, everybody, we've been speaking with Laurie Parente. Go to her website, laurieparente.com. If you feel that you've learned something or this has sparked something in you, visit the website and contact her, learn something, maybe get in touch with one of these retreats. And Laurie, to end the show, I want to give you time to give some sort of sound advice that you learned while you were helping somebody that changed why you lived the way you did, that somebody could take with them for the rest of the day.
When you learn how to connect in with your people in spirit, your ones who have crossed over, it changes your life. It changes your grief. It changes how you see your world. So, if you've ever had the impetus to go to a medium or to learn about your own mediumship abilities, it really will help you to understand why you're here and how you're always connected to your people, whether they're in the physical world or not.
And that is so true. And it does change when you recognize that they are not, quote unquote, dead. They've just transitioned and they're very much alive and very much in tune with who you are. It changes it from a moment of loss to a moment of acceptance, and you're still with me. And I know that for a fact. And that does for me, when my mom passed, that lessened the grief. When my brother passed, that lessened the grief because I know that they're still here. So,
And not only are they still here, but we have the opportunity to have a new phase of our relationship with them.
yes, because as an example, my brother's not as dumb as he was when he was here. He's now a lot smarter than that.
And you can talk to them. You can reach out. If you don't want to talk to the this and talk to the that, talk to your family. Talk to someone on the other side that would know only things you know and test it out a little bit. It might scare you, so be careful.
It might surprise you, so be curious.
Yeah, that as well.
Ooh, that's great.
Surprise you,
Don't be
curious.
scared, be curious. I love that. Laurie and Brichelle.
Laurie Parente, visit her website, laurieparente.com. And again, Laurie, thank you so much for spending this time with us and our audience as well. We've learned so much from you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been great fun.
And have a great day, everybody. And use your intuition. Think about what you're going to have for dinner and pick the best thing possible. We'll be right back. Or no, we're not going to be right back. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin